Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome to another video. Today, we were talking about the darker side of Oshi no Ko. Now, I had a poll on Twitter run for about like a week, and I wanted to see if you guys wanted me to make the video. I had a nice amount of people saying yes, they wanted the video. Only like one person said negative, they didn't want it. But I'll say this right now, going forward, if I do polls like that and they don't get a lot of traction or they don't get a lot of votes, I probably won't do a video right away. Like, this is coming out maybe like a week or two after the poll ended. And I'm happy to do that because I really want to talk about the darker side of Oshi no Ko, and I'll talk about that more in a second, what that means. But going forward, yeah, like I'm not going to be doing one right away if I see like only 5 people vote yes on it and like 1 person votes no, or 5 people vote a general yes. I won't do it right away. It's not because I don't want to waste my time or your time. It's more so just it gives me the idea of traction. Do you guys want to see this? Do you not want to see it? And also because, again, with my weird schedule and everything else that's going on in my life, it's kind of hard to make videos. Like, I can only do them once in a while. As much as I would love to do one every single day as like I used to, it's kind of not feasible. It's just not. But anyways, past all that. So in case you guys have no idea what Oshi no Ko is, I'm going to give you a brief summary of it real fast, and I'm going to talk about the kind of caveats to what this video is. So Oshi no Ko, the main premise is you have Goro, who is a young doctor in a kind of village-like hospital, and he's with one of his patients, Serena. They're both fans of idols. One of them in particular is called Ai. Unfortunately, he quickly discovers Ai is pregnant, and she's at his clinic. And he takes care of her, and he's happy to bring her twins that are coming into the world. He's happy to do it, but things go very awry when he dies, and also Serena ironically dies within the same time frame. But they get reincarnated as Aqua and Ruby, who are the daughter and son of Ai, ironically enough. And from then on, they start ending up in the world that Ai lives in, with the terms of like being idols and stuff like that. I won't I won't go further than that. I won't kind of dive too deep into that because there's a lot more of plot and storyline. Let's just say people die, and that kind of causes characters to then plot out to what they're going to do, etc. I'm not going to do that. You guys watch the show for yourself. It is one of my top 10 anime of all time, honestly. I love Oshi no Ko. I love everything about it. And that's because, I want to say this right now, it's not per se that the dark side of the reality of it is just the plot of Oshi no Ko. I think people forget that the whole concept of Oshi no Ko isn't just the supernatural / dark element, or even sometimes the horror-esque element of these characters in this world that's kind of twisted in terms of idols and fandom and all that. The reality is that that's actually very similar to stuff that happens in the real world. Now, in my line of work as a freelance journalist writer, but also more so for Honey's Anime, I have been blessed enough that I've been interviewed. I've interviewed, various let's see, like idols. I've interviewed artists. I've interviewed some film people. I've interviewed a lot of people. I've interviewed famous people. I've also interviewed people within the medium in terms of like how they do stuff. I've met people that are PR people. I've met people that have stuff to do with like just how they mix the music into the series, how they do illustrations, how they talk to their fans, how like how the PR works and stuff like that. I've met a lot of people. I've been blessed to meet these people and talk to them and understand more about the world of Japanese, film and music and all that stuff, that I learned. Not only does it share a lot of stuff with American style of stuff, because there's this, listen, reality is that anywhere that you have a lot of musicians or fans or stuff like that, there's always a kind of twisted reality to it where you see people really get into it, and also sometimes they get a little too into it. And that's why I love the concept of Oshi no Ko, because it really analyzes that in such a realistic way, despite the nuance of everything else in the story, because you think, oh, these are reincarnated people, and it's not. It's more than just that. So let's start with one of the elements I think that's most important with Oshi no Ko, is that this is based off of a world that is not, let's just say, uncommon for a lot of people. There is a big idol / musician field and world in the Japanese place, I want to say. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's also America too, but Japanese, I think, take it to a whole new level, because I mean, like for example, anime voice actors, they also do music sometimes. They do sometimes the openings of songs, the endings of some songs. They do a lot of stuff, and that's just the voice actors. And then you have sometimes idols that do commercials, they do movies, they do voice acting also, they do video games, etc. You have a lot of people that do a lot of different realms of thought and elements that you're like, what the hell? This is crazy. Like, how does anyone do that? And I've met some big time musicians that will tell me it's sometimes overwhelming because it's like they will go from home to then having to do music on the side, then having to practice for whatever they're doing, then having to go out and do something else, that they have almost no life when it comes to that stuff. And unfortunately, it comes with the territory. I mean, you're going to make so much money or you're going to make so much fandom, it's going to have to come with work, unfortunately. And I think that's where it's not you just standing up in front of a stage doing a song and then being like, oh, that's it, my day's over. No, there's a lot of nuances to it. But what Oshi no Ko examines, I think, the best out of the whole franchise and the whole medium in general, is that you have a lot of weird stuff that happens that I don't think people realize is really happening. For example, one of the more recent episodes talked about how there's like the editor that has to go and talk to the PR person who has to then talk to the other editor for something, that has to then talk to the head writer that has to talk to... That's reality. Like, that's for stage stuff, but that also applies to other things too, like anime and movies and stuff like that. But there's a lot of different levels that, yeah, okay, you are the creator. Like, so say for example, I made something, and it got so popular that I wanted to make a movie about it or a stage play. For that to now happen, it's not like I can just go and write the stage play and here you go, here's the actors, tell them where they're going to go and what to do. No, that's not how it works. Unfortunately, then you have to get a whole different team of people. You have to get someone that's going to now teach those stars how to act on the stage. The people that the guy who's going to direct that stage play be like, okay, this is how I see what you're going to do, how it works from being transitioned from this medium to this medium now. There's a lot of stuff to it. And, it's like when one thing falls apart, though, which is what happened in the more recent episodes, it's like a whole cascade of things falling apart. It's not just, it falls apart so, I say not like an avalanche, because avalanche I feel like just is like a constant a barrage of things happening. It's a cascade because it's almost like beautiful in the elements of how it falls apart. You have then the main guy's pissed off because the editor messed up something, and then the editor now has to go back and fix it, and then has to talk to the person that's directing it and tell them that they messed up with something, and they have to go back and reshoot everything, so they have to go all the way back to that main guy, tell them we're going to redo this, and the main guy has to go back. It's a lot of like things. And ironically, I have met some of those people that have told me it is beyond even that. Like when it comes to how things work, it falls apart. Like, it's something that everything starts happening, and it's one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. It's scary. Like, it's really a dark reality that one single thing can mess it up. Now, even darker though is that you have fans that, I want to say, they love their work. They go, oh my God, I love the characters, I love the actors, I love everything about it. But God forbid you do something wrong. And many of you guys probably watch this video, and hopefully many of you guys watch this video, have seen this, and not for you, obviously, but more so for other people, or even your favorite people online, or favorite movie stars, or actors, or whatever, or actresses, that some fan will be like, I hated that movie. I hated everything done about it. I hated this way the acting was done. And then they flip out. They go type on message boards, oh, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this was what showed up here. I can't believe, like, blah, 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 blah. It's crazy because that is the dark reality. When fans start getting involved in it too, it becomes a whole new realm of issues that come up. And I mean, I get it. Like, you spend time to go, and you spend money, obviously, to go see something. You want it to be a certain way. But you have to realize that everything can't be exactly how you want it. Because, I mean, for maybe you have 10 people in the audience, maybe 9 loved the movie, you want one person that hated it. Could be a reason maybe you didn't like it. Maybe you just didn't like something about it. Maybe it's just it didn't feel you wanted it exactly the way it was supposed to be done. But most people liked it. So, ironically, who's the wrong one, right? There's no wrong or right there. It's just more so how you felt. That's why opinions matter. It's why opinions exist in the world of anything. But the dark side of Oshi no Ko is that it examines this in such a playful way, because you see this happen in the show, and it's almost like a comic strip of things happening, where you see the characters yelling at each other, you see them like arguing, and they're smiling at one point, and they're laughing, and then they're crying 2 seconds later, and then another person feels like he's been defeated while the other people are having a whole party session about it. It's a lot. And that's why some people flip out, because then they go, listen, I just spent X amount of time doing this work for you. You told me it wasn't good, or then you want to get someone else to do it. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's scary. And then that's just the actual work for something. Now let's talk about like idols, for example. Idols, I think, are one of the darkest things of when it comes to just not even the Japanese medium, but I mean even in America, where you have people that stalk them online. You have them stalking the whole thing. I mean, like, if you guys don't know, the first opening of Oshi no Ko is almost a kind of banter about that, because it starts off asking like things of like, where do you want to eat? What's your favorite food? What books do you read? What music you get into? That's the sad reality. That's why I think too a lot of questions when I asked some of these idols myself, because I've again met some of them. You have to be very careful when you ask them, and their PR team is very quick to tell you, "Oh no, I don't like that question too much," or "I don't want to have them answer that question." And I realized it because if they answer that question, you might get a good rise out of it, going, "Oh man, that's oh, so awesome to hear that you like that." But then when it comes out and is published everywhere for them, people see it, they go, wait a sec, you liked that show or you liked that game or that movie? I hated that. I can't believe you would go against what I thought, and then right away they bash them. So it's like, you have to be very careful with questions. Like, I kid you not, guys, I've asked a few idols, like, what's their favorite movie of all time, or what is their favorite song, or what's an inspiration for them. Sometimes I get an answer, and I'm happy that they answered it. And then I will get a quick thing for the PR team, which will tell me, hey, listen, no, you can't do that. It's not that question. We can't have the answer. Can you please put it in a different way that makes it sound like they like all mediums, or they like all franchises, or they've been inspired by these people instead of just one person? You know, makes it so it's like in case they want someone doesn't like that one answer, they say, oh, okay, they liked other people. It's fine. You know, maybe they just have one bad taste. It's crazy. It's really I interviewed a famous band, which was so cool. And when I was there sitting in with their interview, like I was with other people, mind you, and it was like one of the third person to ask a question. It was nuts because like the narrator there and the person that also was the translator would be like this. Okay, here's what they're asking, and the translator would then kind of repeats them, and they would put it back to the presenter, and then the presenter would go to me and tell them, okay, this is what they said. I would think, okay, this is fine. It's not that bad of a question to ask. Like I asked, I think one time, what are your plans for future projects? Do you have anything down the road? Not in terms of like, I don't want you to spoil it or go against too far into your naming stuff, but I want to see like, do you have any projects announced? I remember, I think it was like maybe a month later, I got an email saying, listen, the question's fine per se, but we just want to announce that, make sure you remove this part because we don't want to say what timelines for things are. I'm like, oh, okay, no timelines are fine. And then I had a thing where they said, okay, also equally, you might want to talk about these things because it might help their image out. I'm like, okay. So I had to rewrite stuff like that. It's a lot. Don't get me wrong. I tell you this. I love interviewing idols. I love interviewing all that stuff. It's so cool. It's also very scary, by the way. I don't know if any of you guys have gotten the ability to do that or interview someone that's famous. It puts like a whole thing in your heart, like, oh my God. Am I asking the right question? Do I look okay? Do I look all right? Am I saying it correctly? And then, sometimes when I've asked questions before too, either it gets to this realm of like they can't answer it because not per se they don't have an answer for it, but because a word doesn't exist in the Japanese literature. They're like, wait a second, that word doesn't exist in our vocabulary. Excuse me. So can you rephrase that maybe like something else we can think of, or they'll tell you like, oh no, this is how we say it instead. It's a lot, and I understand it more from Oshi no Ko in terms of like why. All that stuff, it might seem so minor to you when you're actually doing it. Why there's the dark reality is that every time I give credit to PR teams, I really do. Like people might think that they're like the muted silence of every major actor in both America, Japanese, Europe, etc. But PR teams have a very hard job because they have to make sure that they know their I want to say idol, their actress, actor does not get attacked by what they write and what they phrase, but even more so, just in general makes their image better, because obviously that's the whole point of it. They want to make their image nice. They want to make their image, sparkle when it comes to everything else, not look like terrible in the eyes of the world. They have a lot on their plate because they have to make sure to really look at these questions and go, this question could be taken an incorrect way or might be taken, in a negative way. So let's not do that, And ironically, I've also met some idols where they haven't had a big PR team with them behind them, or they haven't had their agencies behind them. And I met them at like a few like mingling things and stuff like that. And they'll tell you stuff that is very off the cuff. They'll tell you like, oh yeah, no, it's this, I deal with this all the time, or I deal with this. Or I remember, I think it was one I was talking to another person that I was like within the group of people, and they were talking about, how it's just a lot of pressure to make sure that they are not seen negatively, because if they are seen negatively, it brings a big thing, not just for them, but for the agency, for other, maybe if they're in a group of people, it brings negatives for that group of people. And I think Oshi no Ko does such a phenomenal job of exploring that with every single like episode that's geared towards idols and film people. I mean, another one, this is more so the first season, where we see an idol getting stalked online. And that's not really even an idol, it's more like, I'll say, a film person. She gets stalked online, and it causes her character to just fall apart. And not even just her falling apart, her agency now is falling apart because they're like thinking like, how do we deal with this? We see that she's falling apart. Do we tell her, everything's okay? Do we stop the press? Do we stop her? And it becomes a whole trickle effect of all these people having now get involved from one simple like attack of sorts. Oshi does a phenomenal job. I keep saying the word phenomenal because it's the best word I can say to say it for this whole thing. It does such a amazing job, I'll put it that way right now, of just kind of analyzing the stuff that you don't see in everyday culture when it comes to like, yeah, you might see your favorite idol get on stage, belt out one of your favorite tracks from a song or from an anime, from a movie, and think that's it, and I'll be honest with you, you might be watching this right now going, oh, that no, there's more than that, obvious than that, but you'd be surprised how many people you can talk to that will be ignorant enough to think, oh, once they're on stage and they do something, that's it. It's just them on stage singing a song, everyone's happy, they leave. No. They sing a song, they're being watched by millions of people, both there and also on offline in terms of like, other events and other places, and even online, obviously, then too, because like that's a thing too, obviously, especially with when COVID happened, you had the whole thing of, people watching videos from home more than ever before because now they can't go out of their houses the whole time. It's scary because now you have maybe 1 or 2 or 100 people going, I think that song should not have been played. I don't like that song. I think they could have put one of their songs. Why did they not put that there? And then going to a community forum, blasting them, and then having a whole wave of people now going and following that person saying, yeah, I agree with you. Why did they play that song when they could have played this song? Or acting. And again, Oshi, where you have one of the characters acting a certain way, and yeah, people loved their character, but hated how they acted, which is more recently more from season 2, where one character is considered a terrible actor, and everyone tears them apart online and says, oh, this person is such a garbage actor, they do horrible, they're a nice looking face, but that's about it. And then, that one time that they shine, everyone's like, oh my God, they had such potential the whole time. They had potential all along too at the beginning. It's just that no one focused on the potential. They only just focus on the negative. There's only 1 or 2 people that focus on their potential, and everyone else is like, no, they're just terrible. I think I really want to say that the reality of Oshi is that we don't see how dark that world is. That it's like, yeah, being famous sounds phenomenal on paper. It's like everyone loves you, they come approach you, you probably have like millions of fans adoring you, you probably have like all these people saying how much they would want to marry you or be with you, etc. And you probably make the ton of money. You're like, oh my God, I could buy everything I want in the world. Yeah, but the caveat is that it comes with a price. In the sense of you are constantly now under a microscope of people going with this, oh, you could have did that better, or you should have really done that better, or wow, you did horrible with that. It's a very dark reality that, do you really want to be famous? Do you really love that whole concept of being scrutinized for every single thing you do? I mean, like, for example, if you have a job that you have a boss that scrutinizes your work on an everyday basis, and I know plenty that have that, unfortunately. Imagine that now being on an even bigger scale, where you're not even just getting your boss to scrutinize you. Imagine if it was your coworkers on top of your boss, on top of people that you work with, on top of the public that sees you and goes, oh, you're terrible at this. And every single person does that. Now you have a whole mountain of people saying that, yeah, you're not that good. And how are you going to react to that? As someone famous, what are you going to do? Are you going to be like, oh, I'm going to hide away, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to quit everything about it? Or do you fight back? Do you fight back in a bad way that, you start showing off things that you shouldn't be showing off? Which, let's look at American culture real fast and kind of shy away from Oshi stuff. American culture, we've had plenty of actors and actresses and musicians and famous bands do some stupid things to get noticed by the press. And it works sometimes to get them noticed, but not always in the way I think they wanted to get noticed. Sometimes it's, it might get you noticed in a good way, but equally also in a way that's like, wait, whoa, they blew that up. They should not have done that. That was crazy. And then, the whole trickle effect of that too. I really want you guys and girls that are watching Oshi or reading in the manga or whatever you're doing with it, to really start looking at some of the stuff that happens, and then looking even online if you can, safely obviously, to see how realistic that is. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens in Oshi that I feel like is just missed by everyone. Like, they'll have a simple image of something and people are hating on it because they'll think it's comical, and everyone's like, yeah, this is stupid. But little do you guys know how much that affects everything. It's not just that one particular image. It affects people who made it. It affects people who decided to upload it. It affects people that, like, it's a whole thing that I don't think people understand. And that's like the crazy part of Oshi is, like, you have people that are watching the show and going, "Oh my god, I love Ruby, I love Aqua, I love the characters, I love the horror elements to it, I love the dark side of these fans, stalking these characters, or someone like trying to stab someone or murder them." But this is stuff that not even, well, again, Japanese idols have to deal with almost on a constant. American idols have to deal with it. European idols have to deal with it. People in Australia have to deal with it. I mean, you have fans everywhere that will come and attack you because they don't like something you did, or are just so obsessed with you. I mean, if you look at history, there are idols that have had negative messages to the world, and it caused people to rise up and then do stupid crap. Or even a crazy person that'll see something they say and then be like, "Oh, I interpret this way," and then attack everyone based off of that. It has happened. But Oshi no Ko is a very dark anime. It's, I think, darker when you realize that it's not just stuff that's happening that you think, oh, people get murdered, it happens every day. No, it's that there's a whole level of things happening that causes things to happen to that. Like, you have a stalker that stalks someone and stalks an idol. What does it do for beyond just that person? It's a whole mental damage thing that does with that person, yes. It affects the agencies that now have to deal with that person. It affects other fans that now are getting attacked by that because they're defending that person. I mean, put it this way, it's crazy because I have also talked with some idols that have been more the I want to say the more chill level of things, where they'll say that a single negative comment about one of their performances will make them tear up and go, "I failed the person." And you feel so bad for them because you're like, wow, they took it so hard that that one person, maybe 1,000 people love that, that love that live concert. One person didn't like it, and I'm now upset. And it's not, you might think, oh, come on, it's one person. Most majority loved your concert, yes, but it's not because it's that they weren't famous enough to do what they were doing. It's more so because that one person has attacked them in their mental mind game. They've gone now and make them feel so bad that they've not done 100% of everyone loving it. They've now only hit 99.9, and it's a lot. And you don't realize that little trickle effect could have bigger lasting things where now that person's so depressed that they can't do anything going further, or they might now have issues doing another concert, that it might cause even more fans to get disappointed. And then it's just more and more and more and more stuff. It's crazy. It's a lot of crazy stuff. And if you ever go to these anime conventions where you meet some idols, or you meet famous models, or if you meet famous actors, voice actors, whatever, talk to them if you can. Ask them questions and stuff like that if you can. Obviously you could have sessions with them, or you can ask them for interviews, and a lot of times they will let you do interviews and all that stuff. There's a lot of little things about it that sometimes makes it where you can't post them online, but sometimes you can talk to them, and maybe the PR team will give you an email and be like, "Hey, if you email me first, we're okay with you asking questions or whatever." But notice how they react. I think it's if you're someone like me, I tend to pay attention to how people, their movements of their face, how they talk, and how, if they look a certain direction when they're talking, that means they're kind of hiding something, or if they close their eyes a certain way, or even open their eyes wider. These are all things that actually show that they're not talking exactly how they're supposed to be talking. They're doing something. But if you pay attention to that stuff, you realize that one of your favorite questions might have layers to it that you didn't even think about. Maybe you ask, why is this song so important to you? And maybe to you think it's just maybe a love song, or maybe it was a song about a breakup, that happened in life. But maybe that breakup was something that caused a devastation upon them, that they made a song, they made something out of it to help everyone and to help themselves to get out of it. But even equally, it might cause other people to either rise up and go, wow, that song resonated with me so much that I now feel like I have to empower other people. Or it can have a negative effect where now people online are now more depressed than ever before and talk about my favorite actor or actress made a song, or my favorite idol made a song and I didn't like it. It's a lot. I really say it. I could spend, I'm looking at the clock, I think I'm at 20-something minutes right now. I could spend 50-something minutes talking about stuff like this, and I can go into even more depth of, it causes books to be written about how mental health is a big factor in a lot of idols, and how it can transition to some of their talent, but equally also how it can attack other people because they're being upset can cause other people to be upset in a negative way. And people that have, I want to say, a mindset that they're so enamored by actors and enamored by all the stuff in the world of that, they might take it a very 20 levels they shouldn't have to, I'll put it that way. Anyways, guys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a lot, so hopefully you guys stayed around for the whole thing. If you did, my little kind of treat for you will be that I will have a old review coming out probably next week or within the end of the month, because I do have stuff coming out next week I planned. But I hope you guys enjoy it. Anyways, guys and girls, love you all. God bless you all. Have a wonderful one. Bye bye, everyone.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb.